office is panicking. They've built a roster designed to win now. Chase, Higgins, Mixon, the weapons are there. The defense is serviceable. The coaching staff is competent. The only question is, who's under center? If Burrow can't stay healthy, the entire machine collapses. And that's why Shedeur Sanders' name is on their lips.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Shedeur is not just another college prospect. He's the prospect. The one whose Nike shirt launch made $100 million in hours. The one whose poise under pressure has scouts whispering that he's NFL ready today. The one whose charisma, marketability, and swagger make him as much a cultural icon as a quarterback. This isn't just about throwing touchdowns. This is about leading a franchise, about selling jerseys, about reshaping narratives. And the Bengals, desperate to stay relevant in the brutal AFC North, see Sanders as their chance to hedge against Burrow's fragility. Think about the audacity of it. Bringing in Shedeur Sanders isn't just a roster move, it's a declaration. It says, we're not waiting around for Burrow to maybe heal. We're not going to let injuries sabotage our window. We're going all in right now. That's bold. That's reckless. And that's why it has the whole league buzzing. Of course, the risks are enormous. You don't just sideline Joe Burrow without consequences. This is a man who has the locker room's respect, who fans worship, who has a Heisman and a Super Bowl appearance under his belt. Replacing him, or even bringing in someone who looks like a replacement, could fracture team chemistry overnight. You think Ja'Marr Chase is just going to smile and nod if his college running mate gets benched for an untested rookie? Not likely. And then there's Shedeur himself. As gifted as he is, the NFL is not college football. The game is faster, the defenses are meaner, the pressure is suffocating. Throwing him into the fire too early could shatter confidence, derail development, and set back the Bengals for years. That's the gamble. That's the line Cincinnati is dancing on. But let's not kid ourselves, the potential is intoxicating. Imagine Shedeur Sanders in black and orange, launching bombs to Ja'Marr Chase, orchestrating game-winning drives in front of 60,000 screaming fans. Imagine the buzz, the national coverage, the jerseys flying off shelves. Sanders doesn't just bring talent, he brings attention. He makes Cincinnati the center of the NFL universe overnight. And in a division where every inch matters, where Baltimore has Lamar, where Cleveland is clawing for relevance, where Pittsburgh lurks with Mike Tomlin's eternal steadiness, the Bengals know that having Shedeur could be the difference between dominance and irrelevance. Meanwhile, the fans are split down the middle. Some are furious. You don't replace Burrow. Period. He's our guy. Ride or die. These fans see Sanders as a shiny distraction, a betrayal of the man who put Cincinnati back on the map. Others are excited. Burrow can't stay healthy. We can't keep gambling on him. Sanders is the future. Pull the trigger now. To them, it's not disrespect, it's survival. And on social media? The debate is nuclear. You've got fans photoshopping Sanders into Bengals jerseys, while others are starting hashtags demanding loyalty to Burrow. It's chaos. And chaos in the NFL is always good for ratings. Now let's widen the lens. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Cleveland is already panicking about losing Sanders to Baltimore or New Orleans. Imagine their horror if he ends up in Cincinnati instead, just across the division, haunting them twice a year. That would be the ultimate nightmare for a Browns fan. The man who could have been their savior becoming their executioner. Baltimore? They've built their whole pitch on pairing Sanders with Lamar. Losing him to a division rival wouldn't just sting, it'd be humiliating. And New Orleans? Their dream of cultural immortality would evaporate. Sanders wouldn't be a savior in the dome, he'd be a mercenary in stripes. This isn't just a quarterback move. It's a league-altering power shift. And the NFL knows it. Front offices across the league are watching closely, because this isn't just about Cincinnati. It's about precedent. If the Bengals, a team with a supposed franchise quarterback already in place, can seriously pursue Sanders, what does that say about stability in the NFL? What does that say about loyalty? What does that say about the future of quarterback contracts? It says no one is safe. Not even Joe Burrow. Now let's zoom back to Sanders because this young man is playing this situation like a grandmaster. Every day he stays quiet, his stock rises. Every rumor that floats makes him more valuable. Every team that panics makes his leverage stronger. He doesn't have to say a word, because the league is saying it for him. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. Sanders hasn't played it down in the NFL, and yet he's already holding it hostage. He's already dictating terms. He's already shaping futures. That's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. But this isn't normal, this is Shedeur Sanders. So what happens next? If the Bengals make the move, the NFL will explode. Headlines. Debates. Infighting. It would be the boldest quarterback move since Favre to Minnesota, since Brady to Tampa, since Montana to Kansas City. And the fallout would be seismic. If they don't make the move, the whispers won't die. The trust between Burrow and the front office will be fractured. The fans will question whether their team has the guts to win now. And Sanders? His stock only climbs higher. Either way, the Bengals are trapped in a story that doesn't end clean. And that's what makes it beautiful. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about a football player. It's about identity. It's about power. It's about a rookie quarterback who hasn't thrown a single NFL touchdown yet but already controls the future of multiple franchises. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a prospect, he's a revolution. So here's the real question. If you're the Bengals, do you risk it all to steal him? Do you shake the foundation of your franchise, alienate your golden boy, and take a swing so massive it could either crown you kings or bury you forever? Or do you play it safe? Stick with Burrow. Pray his body holds up. Hope you don't regret passing on the chance to sign the quarterback who might redefine the entire league. That's the decision. That's the gamble. That's the drama. Now I want to hear from you. If you were Cincinnati's GM, what would you do? Roll the dice on Sanders or stick with Burrow and hope for the best? Drop your take in the comments, and while you're here, hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't just the Bengals story. This is the story of the NFL's future. And trust me, this ride is only getting wilder from here. On one side, you've got Joe Burrow, the face of the Bengals. The golden boy from LSU. The guy who showed up to the draft in a white suit, who smoked cigars after national championships, who was supposed to turn Cincinnati from a laughingstock into a dynasty. And for a hot minute it looked like he might. But football isn't about narratives, it's about durability. And Burrow has been fragile. It's almost cruel, really. Every time the Bengals start to gain momentum, Burrow's body betrays him. Torn ligaments, strained calves, and now the dreaded turf toe. One of those nagging injuries that just doesn't go away. And here's the brutal truth. The NFL doesn't wait for you to heal. You either produce or you get replaced. On the other side, you've got Shedeur Sanders. He hasn't played a single down in the NFL, but he's already become a lightning rod. He's not just a quarterback, he's the quarterback of the future. He's marketable. He's calm under pressure. He has that aura, that ability to step into a room and instantly command it. He's not just being scouted for his arm, he's being scouted for his presence. And the Bengals are looking at that contrast, Burrow's fragility versus Sanders' potential, and asking themselves a question every franchise eventually has to face. Do we bet on the past or gamble on the future? Now here's where it gets even messier, the AFC North context. This isn't just any division. This is the NFL's Thunderdome. You've got the Steelers, who somehow remain competitive every year despite never having a flashy quarterback. You've got the Ravens, armed with Lamar Jackson and now circling Shedeur like hawks. You've got the Browns, desperately trying to hold on to Sanders before he slips away. If the Bengals stand still, they fall behind. That's just the math of the AFC North. So picture this, you're Mike Brown, owner of the Bengals. You're watching your rivals reload, innovate, and hustle while your franchise QB is on the sideline in a walking boot. Do you really sit on your hands? Or do you take the swing of all swings and try to bring Sanders to Cincinnati, making your rivals choke on the news? That's the temptation. Of course, the locker room dynamics here are brutal. Joe Burrow isn't just a quarterback, he's beloved. Teammates respect him. Fans worship him. Ja'Marr Chase is basically his football soulmate. Bringing in Shedeur would feel to many like betrayal. And betrayal is poison in a locker room. You think Chase is going to be thrilled at the idea of catching passes from someone other than Burrow? You think the veterans who've bled with Burrow through tough seasons are just going to shrug and say, sure, let's see what the new kid's got? Not likely. And yet, winning cures everything. If Shedeur walks in and starts dropping dimes, if the Bengals go 8-0 under his watch, if the offense suddenly looks unstoppable, all that loyalty fades. The NFL is a results-driven business, and nothing silences grumbling faster than touchdowns. But let's talk about the risks of rushing Sanders into the NFL fire. This is the part people forget. As great as Sanders is in college, the NFL isn't the same beast. It eats quarterbacks alive. Just ask Zach Wilson. Ask Sam Darnold. Ask Josh Rosen. The speed, the complexity, the pressure, it's not just a step up, it's an entirely different game. Throw Sanders into that too early, especially into the pressure cooker of Cincinnati's expectations, and you risk breaking him before he even finds his footing. Once confidence shatters, it's almost impossible to rebuild. That's why this move isn't just bold, it's reckless. It's like teaching someone to swim by throwing them into the middle of the ocean during a hurricane. Sure, they might survive and come out stronger, but they might also drown. Meanwhile, the fans are going nuclear. In Cincinnati, you've got Burrow loyalists screaming, "Don't you dare disrespect our guy." They're the ones holding up homemade signs outside the stadium, wearing Burrow jerseys to bed, swearing they'll boycott if the team even thinks about replacing him. But then there's the new wave. The ones who are captivated by Sanders' swagger, by his off-field empire, by the idea that Cincinnati could suddenly be the most talked-about franchise in sports. These fans are saying, Burrow's soft. Sanders is the future. Let's move on. It's a civil war in the fan base. And whichever way the Bengals lean, they're going to alienate half of their own supporters. Here's where it gets really spicy, the national implications. If Sanders actually lands in Cincinnati, it doesn't just shake up one team, it shakes up the entire league. Suddenly, the rookie contract market is blown to pieces. Suddenly, franchises with aging or fragile quarterbacks start panicking. Suddenly, every hotshot college QB with a brand realizes they can dictate terms before they've even been drafted. This isn't just about the Bengals, it's about precedent. If Sanders can walk into the NFL with this much leverage, what stops the next phenom from doing the same? Owners hate this. They want control. They want the old hierarchy where rookies had to beg for a shot and earn every dollar. Sanders is flipping that model on its head. And if Cincinnati is the team that enables it, oh, the backlash from other front offices will be vicious. Let's not forget the Shedeur-Sanders brand machine in all this. This isn't just about football. This is about Nike deals, about $100 million shirt sales, about global influence. If Sanders goes to Cincinnati, the Bengals instantly become more than a team. They become a brand. Overnight, they'd be selling jerseys in Europe, in Asia, in markets they never even touched before. From a business perspective, the move makes sense. Burrow sells tickets. Sanders sells eras. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the Bengals are willing to risk everything. Because in the NFL, money talks louder than loyalty. But let's circle back to the question that makes this saga so intoxicating. What does Shedeur-Sanders want? He's holding all the cards. He can be the savior of Cleveland, the revolutionary in Baltimore, the cultural icon in New Orleans, or the disruptor in Cincinnati. And every option comes with immortality. Stay with Cleveland? He's the man who broke the Browns' curse. Go to Baltimore? He redefines football itself with Lamar. Go to New Orleans? He becomes a saint in more ways than one. Go to Cincinnati? He dethrones a golden boy and rewrites NFL power dynamics. There's no wrong choice here, just different legends. And that's why this story refuses to die. Because it's not just about who throws the football on Sundays. It's about power. It's about culture. It's about a rookie quarterback who hasn't played a snap and yet has the NFL on its knees. The Bengals know the risks. They know they might fracture their locker room, divide their fan base, and throw a fragile situation into chaos. But they also know the reward, the chance to control the future of football. And that temptation? It's almost impossible to resist. The Bengals are plotting, scheming, whispering in back rooms about what it would look like to steal Shedeur-Sanders right out from under everybody. Not just Cleveland, not just Baltimore, not just New Orleans, but the entire league. Because let's be clear, if Cincinnati pulls this off, this isn't just a roster move, it's a declaration of war. And that war starts with Joe Burrow. Now, Burrow is complicated because on paper he's everything you'd want in a quarterback. He's accurate, he's smart, he's clutch. He dragged the Bengals to the Super Bowl, made them relevant, gave them swagger they hadn't had in decades. But there's one thing you can't game plan around: injuries. The NFL is merciless when it comes to health. It doesn't care how talented you are if you're standing on the sidelines in a hoodie and sweatpants. And Burrow, for all his brilliance, has been a magnet for pain. Torn ACL, MCL sprain, calf strain, and now turf toe, an injury so deceptively small it sounds like something your uncle complains about, but for quarterbacks, it's a nightmare. No push-off, no zip, no stability. The Bengals front office knows this. They've watched their Super Bowl window shrink with every limp Burrow takes. And that's why Shedeur-Sanders isn't just a shiny object, he's an insurance policy. A way to say, we're not going to let one man's fragility sink an entire franchise. But that's where the problem comes in, because Burrow isn't just a man. To Cincinnati, he's a messiah. Walk through the streets of Cincinnati and you'll see Burrow murals, Burrow jerseys, Burrow kids' shirts being sold at Walmart. This city has invested everything in him. To even consider another quarterback feels like betrayal. And betrayal, in sports, cuts deeper than almost anything else. Which is why bringing in Shedeur isn't just a football move, it's a cultural gamble. Imagine being in that locker room. One day Burrow is your unquestioned leader. The next, there's whispers that Shedeur's coming to town. Receivers start thinking, maybe I should get used to catching from this new guy. Coaches start tweaking plays, maybe Shedeur could handle this scheme better. That fractures trust. And fractured trust in an NFL locker room is like a crack in a dam. It doesn't take long before the whole thing bursts. But let's flip the coin, because here's the other reality. Shedeur Sanders isn't just hype. He's talent. Pure, undeniable, impossible to ignore talent. In college, he showed poise beyond his years. Calming chaos. The ability to diagnose defenses like he was born doing it. Combine that with a rocket arm and an almost scary composure under pressure, and you've got a quarterback who looks like he was engineered in a lab. And then there's the off-field factor. Shedeur isn't just a player, he's a brand. His Nike launch sold $100 million in shirts. Who else in football history has done that before even playing professionally? Not Mahomes. Not Brady. Not Burrow. Shedeur is in his own lane. So if you're the Bengals, you're staring at a 21-year-old who isn't just NFL ready, he's NFL altering. A quarterback who could win games and sell jerseys in Tokyo. A quarterback who makes your franchise not just competitive but global. And when you're weighing that against an injured Joe Burrow, the temptation becomes impossible to ignore. Let's also not pretend that timing doesn't matter here. The Bengals are staring at an AFC North arms race. The Ravens? Lamar Jackson MVP, plus a stacked roster. The Browns? Clinging to Sanders, begging him not to bolt. The Steelers? Mike Tomlin, who somehow never has a losing season no matter how bad his quarterbacks are. Cincinnati can't afford to be stagnant. Not when their rivals are reloading. Not when every season feels like a survival contest. If they sit back and hope Burrow heals, they risk falling into irrelevance. If they act boldly, if they bring in Shedeur, they could seize the upper hand. That's the allure. That's the danger. Now here's where this turns from football into theater. The fans. Cincinnati fans are at each other's throats. Half are screaming for loyalty. Burrow gave us hope. You don't abandon him. The other half are foaming at the mouth. Burrow's body can't hold up. Sanders is the future. Make the move. It's a civil war. Bars are divided. Radio call-ins are split. And on social media? Forget it, it's chaos. 1 second, someone's photoshopping Sanders into a Bengals jersey. The next, someone else is accusing the front office of betrayal. And this isn't just sports banter. This is personal. Fans pour their identities into these players. To pick between Burrow and Sanders is to pick between loyalty and ambition, between memory and possibility. And that's why the Bengals' decision is bigger than just X's and O's. It's about who they want to be. Meanwhile, across the league, everyone's watching like it's reality TV. Baltimore is fuming. Their whole pitch to Sanders has been innovation, pairing him with Lamar Jackson in a two-headed quarterback system that could revolutionize football. If Cincinnati swoops in and steals him, that's not just a loss, it's an embarrassment. Cleveland is in shambles already, terrified Sanders will leave. If he ends up in Cincinnati instead, they're not just losing a savior, they're facing him twice a year. That's torture. And New Orleans? They'd lose their dream of cultural immortality, of Sanders being their Drew Brees 2.0. So if Cincinnati pulls this off, they don't just win, they humiliate 3 franchises at once. That's power. That's leverage. That's why this rumor has the entire league trembling. And here's the part that blows my mind. Shedeur hasn't said a word. Not one press conference. Not one cryptic tweet. Not even a leaked quote. He's letting the league melt down around him, and he's sitting back in silence. That silence is brilliant. Every day he stays quiet, the offers get bigger. The hype grows stronger. The leverage tilts further in his favor. He doesn't need to speak, he's already controlling the narrative. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He knows his worth. He knows the chaos works for him. And he knows the Bengals need him more than he needs them. So let's picture it just for a second. Shedeur Sanders in Cincinnati. Opening day, packed stadium, orange and black everywhere. Burrow's on the sideline, clapping politely while Sanders jogs onto the field. The crowd is divided, half cheering, half booing, all buzzing. First snap, Sanders drops back, surveys the field, and hits Jamar Chase in stride for 40 yards. The place erupts. Suddenly the whispers stop. The doubts fade. The torch has been passed. That's the dream. That's the gamble. But here's the nightmare scenario. Shedeur struggles. The speed of the NFL overwhelms him. He throws picks, misses reads, gets sacked into the dirt. Fans turn on him. The locker room fractures. Burrow sits there, simmering, watching the franchise implode. That's the risk. That's why this is such a dangerous move. Because with Sanders, you're not just buying talent, you're buying uncertainty. And uncertainty in the NFL can ruin you. So where does this leave us? The Bengals are at a crossroads. Stick with Burrow and hope his body holds up, or gamble on Sanders and risk blowing up the entire franchise. And Shedeur? He's holding all the cards. Cleveland, Baltimore, New Orleans, Cincinnati, each offering him a different kind of immortality. Curse breaker. Innovator. Cultural icon. Disruptor. No matter what he chooses, history will remember it. And no matter what the Bengals decide, the NFL will feel it. So I'll toss this to you. If you're Cincinnati, do you stick with loyalty or chase the future? Do you protect your golden boy or bet it all on Sanders? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're addicted to this kind of chaos, where football meets myth, where contracts turn into culture wars, then hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this isn't ending here. The Shedeur-Sanders sweepstakes is just getting started. And the Bengals? They might be the team crazy enough to blow the whole league wide open.